We call the State Environmental Finance and Natural Resources Committee to order. Good morning, members. We're a little short of members today. There's some that are still on their way. One, I think, might be missing totally today. However, we're not going to be taking any votes today. We're going to be doing and getting an introduction from our new commissioners today. So, members, I hope you're armed with questions and we get a good feel for the new appointees to the DNR and the Mpca Commissioner by our recent governor, and I'm looking forward to the conversation. First, we're going to start out with the Minnesota Department of Natural Resource, Sarah Strommen, Commissioner. First of all, welcome so much to the committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
And if I know that you've been in now for, is it 3 weeks?
Yeah, I think this is week 4.
Okay, it's going to be week 4, so you're already very, and I know you come from the DNR, from within the DNR rank and file, but so I know you know it inside and out already and know the policies of the new governor, so you're armed with with everything today. So if you could just start out by introducing yourself, your name, and give us a little background, and we'll just open it up for a good dialogue.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I am Sarah Strommen. I'm the new commissioner of the Minnesota Department of Natural Resources, and I really am very honored to be in this position. I have worked for the department the last 4 years as an assistant commissioner with the divisions of Parks and Trails and Fish and Wildlife, and it really has been fun the last few weeks to transition to this new role. And I'm really looking forward to working with all of you and working with the team at the DNR and others.
On behalf of the whole committee, congratulations.
Thank you. So yeah, I'll share a little bit of an introduction about myself. I grew up in St. Paul. I am a proud graduate of St. Paul Central High School. My academic career is very much rooted in the biological sciences. I have a bachelor's degree in biology from Grinnell College in Iowa and a Master of Environmental Management from Duke University. My professional career has unfolded in Minnesota. I came back to Minnesota after school, and I've worked in the areas of environmental education, environmental policy, community development, resource conservation, both public and private lands. And I have experience working in the nonprofit sectors, local government. I was a local elected official, both city council and mayor in the city of Ramsey, and then most recently working in state government, both at the Board of Water and Soil Resources, and then, as I said, the last 4 years at the Department of Natural Resources. Couple things that I want to share about my background and what I bring to this role as commissioner. Number one, I have a very strong passion for outdoor recreation. It really is a very important part of my family and how we spend our time together. I like to say in my house, outdoor time is family time and family time is outdoor time. We fish together, we hike together, we hunt together, we canoe together, we visit state parks together. If there's an outdoor activity, we're probably engaged in it, and my son and my husband and my 2 dogs and I are usually doing it together. We have a cabin in the Walker area on Leech Lake, and my favorite activities up there are watching my son paddle his kayak along the shoreline, catching big bass. And this time of year, though, we're maybe on a snowmobile on a day trip up to Bemidji. So the other thing that I bring to this job really is a passion for engaging people in the decisions that affect them. And as a city council member and mayor in the city of Ramsey, I was often found to say that our greatest assets in our city were our residents. And I truly believe that. And I came to find that when we worked collaboratively as a city council with our staff and with our residents in issues that were facing the city, demanding a robust discussion about those issues, the city council became better informed and we made better decisions and the community was better off. And so this really is the experience and approach that I want to bring to DNR to ensure the best outcomes for Minnesota's resources and our economy. So to that end, I'm really committed to working with our staff, our stakeholders, our partner agencies, the legislature, the governor, and everyday Minnesotans, listening to all voices, all perspectives, and ensuring that we get those best outcomes. I think one of the opportunities at the DNR is our broad mission. We have a three-part mission. We are charged with natural resource protection, we are charged with outdoor recreation, and we are charged with economic development. And while this can sometimes present challenges, I think it also presents many opportunities, because while we represent this diversity of perspectives and this diversity of goals, we really share this passion for Minnesota's resources and Minnesota's outdoors. And so I think our opportunity really is to bring together these shared interests, this shared passion for our resources, our outdoors and our economy, and find those best outcomes. I think I want to just share one more thing. I'm really proud of the leadership team that we have built here at DNR. Just to let you know, in addition to the commissioner's office, obviously we have a deputy commissioner, we have 3 assistant commissioners, we have 4 regional directors, 7 divisions, and our general counsel and a special assistant to the commissioner. All of those positions have now been named with yesterday's most recent announcement. And I just want to say, I think we have a really outstanding team. They bring a diversity of experience, a diversity of knowledge of the issues, but again, they all share the passion for DNR's broad mission. And I think that all of you are going to enjoy working with all of them as well. Mr. Chair, if I can just highlight a few things, too, that I see coming down the pike, and then I would be happy to take any questions. Obviously, Minnesotans care a great deal about our resources, and there are many issues that we face. These are the issues you discuss. We are still working on our specific agenda, but I want to share a few highlights of some of the things that we've been working on in the last few weeks since I took over as commissioner. And really, these build on some of the work of the last 8 years under Commissioner Landwehr. But in these recent weeks, we have signed a memorandum of understanding, recommitting to our pheasant action plan, because there's still a lot of work to do related to pheasant population numbers and pheasant habitat. On the CWD front, we just recently, last week, finalized a memorandum of understanding with the Board of Animal Health that clearly defines procedures to enable our staff to work more closely together. And we're working to update the DNR's response plan because it's important that we preserve the health of Minnesota's deer herd, obviously, but also that we preserve Minnesota's deer hunting experience. We are continuing to engage with and support local partners with projects like the Sandhill River Watershed project, which was work we did tributary to the Red River to create fish habitat, improve fish habitat. We'll continue to do those kinds of projects. We're going to continue to work with businesses and landowners to ensure that they can conduct important economic activities in ways that also protect Minnesota's resources. And we're going to continue to focus on providing and enhancing unforgettable experiences at Minnesota's state parks, trails, and our water recreation facilities. So let me just conclude by saying, during these next 4 years, we're going to continue to work on all 3 of these areas of DNR's mission: protection of our resources, outdoor recreation and outdoor experiences, as well as economic opportunities. I really want to focus, as we do all of this work, to strengthen the connections that Minnesotans have between themselves and the outdoors, not only through recreation opportunities, but also in ways that they understand the importance of the work that we do at DNR to Minnesota's quality of life. So that is my commitment to Minnesotans as we go through our work the next 4 years. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner. Members, if you have any questions, I'll start it out. I have, and thank you for those comments, Commissioner, and once again, congratulations. The comment of collaboratively and engaging maybe you've heard my concerns, and I made them very clear with the previous commissioner with regards to working with different organizations. I'm glad to hear that you're going to be doing that. I think one area that's growing a lot in the state of Minnesota is lake associations, and I bring experience to that in that. In my other life, lake associations were just starting to kind of form. Oh goodness, some 20 years ago, I suppose now, the way time flies, and becoming more active in wanting to keep the lakes that they live on certainly clean and do whatever they can. And I know they work with it closely, somewhat closely with the DNR and giving them data and doing clarity checks, monitor checks, loon counts, things like that. And just what are your comments? What do you feel about engaging with them? They're becoming, again, more active, wanting to do more things. I know it's a balance. I mean, you do have a balance there, and I know there might even be some that are a little bit standoffish because they might be a little overbearing at times. But I think the main goal is everybody owns the lakes. Everybody knows that. Everybody has access to the lakes. Why wouldn't we engage in and I think you do. I think we do, but I think we need to do a little better job. Engage with those that want to keep the lakes in good fashion for the general public. So I guess I'd like to hear your comments about working with lake associations, and then maybe we'd go into the University of Minnesota Aquatic Invasive Species, how you work collaboratively with them. I just had them in my office last week, and they're doing some pretty fantastic things with the research over there, and just like to hear your feelings on those.
Sure, Mr. Chair, thank you for that question. I absolutely believe that lake associations can play a role in helping us protect the quality of our lakes and ensure that they are available to the public at large and all Minnesotans. I say this from personal experience. My husband was once president of our lake association, so I've seen the work that they can do firsthand, and I think that we can engage in some closer discussion about specifically what that role looks like. I think where the challenge comes in is where when it becomes this lake association versus the general public. And I think that is not a healthy way to engage in that discussion. I think it's focusing on that common goal that we have for maintaining the lakes for everyone, those who live on the lakes and those who come to use the lake from other places. And so I think particularly in some of the water quality monitoring that they do, some of them are very engaged in shoreline restoration and protection. There's a whole host of things, and they can be very strong advocates for the work that we need to do.
I'm glad to hear that. And I know there is that lake association against everybody else, and I can't emphasize enough, we need to get past that. We need to get over that, because the fact still remains they don't own the lake, but they want to keep the lake nice, and it's pretty hard to argue with that. But yes, a little overbearing, a little too, let's move too fast. I get that. I've been involved in it long enough, but I'm glad to hear that you're willing to keep an open mind working with them moving ahead. The aquatic invasives through the U has some really amazing stuff that's going on. They're actually able to tell us what lakes to target for our washing stations and whatnot for aquatic to stop the migration. How do you see that moving forward? Do you see getting together with them a little more than what's been happening in the past, or what has happened in the past?
Mr. Chair, thanks. I know that Commissioner Landwehr was involved with that group. I will be honest, I'm not up to speed on all of the aspects of their research, but I agree with you. I think they're working on a number of very interesting and promising angles for us to do a better job of fighting aquatic invasive species. Clearly, that's a huge issue for the state of Minnesota. We continue to see the spread. And, whether or not we can ultimately stem the spread completely, I think certainly, both through education, we can slow it down, and hopefully the research advances. So I think having that group that focuses on the research and some science to bring to bear to our decisions and how we allocate resources or what kinds of activities we do is a very useful function for them to play. And I really do look forward to, diving in a little bit deeper to some of the specifics of their research.
Good, thank you. Senator Eichhorn.
Thank you, Commissioner. It's great to have you here today, and nice to meet you. Hopefully we'll have a chance to talk some more offline at another point. But one of my first questions is kind of surrounding our mining policy. And our Minnesota statutes state that it's the policy of the state to provide for the diversification of the state's mineral economy through long-term support of mineral exploration, evaluation, environmental research, development, production, and commercialization. And given that, how do you separate some of your previous jobs that might have had a position that was maybe anti-mining with your new current statutory obligation to promote exploration and commercialization of minerals?
Commissioner.
Mr. Chair and Senator Eichhorn, thank you for that question. Here's what I would say to that. Again, first of all, as I've said, I'm very committed to the full spectrum of DNR's mission. Specifically to past positions that I have held, I think, again, what I am asking people to do is to look at my experience in its totality, that particular work experience was one piece of my work experience. And, people wear different hats and different jobs. And I think, if you look at my time, particularly in state government and local government, that work is defined by decisions that are made very carefully, very objectively, looking at information, looking at data, following what sideboards we are given in statute and rules, or in the case of my local government, zoning, and getting public input in that and making decisions objectively and fairly as this job requires.
Thank you, Commissioner. Members, follow-up.
Not necessarily a follow-up, but to some degree there might be a piece of follow-up, but I also wanted to ask you about school trust lands and how you see your duty there, and how they relate to how do you separate your statutory and constitutional and fiduciary duties to maximize the school trust for the students of the state? And in my opinion, the DNR has had extremely high management fees in the past, and underutilization of our forest lands and mineral resources that are on school trust. How do you see your role there, and how do we maybe turn the tide and make the change so that we start getting more money into the trust for our school students?
Commissioner Strommen.
Mr. Chair and Senator Eichhorn, I fully understand the constitutional and fiduciary obligations to the trust. And I think over the last several years, the DNR has put a lot more emphasis on that obligation, and we have been working on a number of internal operational policies, guidance documents, ways of operating with our staff to ensure, particularly, when we are managing school trust lands that we may want to manage for other purposes, that we are appropriately compensating the trust for that. So I am 100% committed to continuing those efforts so that we are meeting that fiduciary responsibility to the trust.
Thank you. Senator Bach.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Commissioner, on that point, there is, and Senator Eichhorn, there is a provision in the Constitution that allows the DNR to take management fees off of timber sales on school trust fund land. That's constitutionally permissible. There is, however, no provision in the Constitution that allows the DNR to take any revenue related to mining off of school trust fund land. And I'm bringing this up because some of you are going to be in the Senate long after I'm gone. In 2005, we spent a long time managing deficits, and Governor Plenty proposed taking $3 million a year, $6 million for a biennium, to help fund the division of minerals at DNR. And money that otherwise would have gone to the trust. And we have done that every year since 2005. We've taken $3 million a year, money that otherwise would have gone to the trust, and the DNR has used it to fund the division of minerals. Now, I need the division of minerals funded, right? But the Permanent School Fund Committee would be wise to look at this. I mean, if anybody ever brings a suit, there is no way that there's any constitutional protection for the department taking money related to mining off of school trust fund land. There is for logging and timber, but I would suggest, Commissioner, and you probably don't have enough money to do it, you should try fix that or make the governor aware of that. You know, $3 million a year going back to 2005 is quite a few nickels. That is absolutely right out of the trust fund that otherwise would have been in there. So I just want to make committee members aware of that problem that we have. And I don't have a solution, but first we all have to agree we have a problem.
Thank you. Commissioner, any comments?
Mr. Chair, Senator Buck, no, I appreciate the comment. You shared that with me before, and, you know, obviously if the legislature wishes to address that, we'll be happy to engage in the discussion.
Okay. Senator Bingham.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and welcome. Thank you for being here today. A couple concerns that I have, you've already mentioned both of them, and I should say the chair has too. Related to aquatic invasive species, I come from county government, very proud that we do a terrific job, I think, at least in Washington County, on aquatic invasive species money that is provided to the county. So to your best of your ability, I encourage you to visit with some of the county boards that in their projects, in their process that they utilize. It's quite a stringent process working with the lake associations and stuff, but specifically Washington County, you may want to, and I'd be happy to orchestrate that. I think they're a great model. Also, chronic waste disease. Spent a lot of time reading and doing research in meetings over the interim. Senator Rood has some fantastic bills that are getting queued up. So look forward to working with both of you on that issue. But I mean, it's a huge concern. As you know, a little less than 500,000 folks pull deer hunting permits, and it's a big part of our culture, but our economy. And so we can't kick the can down the road. We have to take some action here. So look forward to working with you and your staff on that. I was very impressed with the special hunt last month, or month before last, sorry, that the sampling stations and the collaborative partnership with the University of Minnesota. So I just encourage the communication to keep flowing between the department and between the legislature, so that, you know, we can see that, you know, hands-on how all that stuff is going. But welcome and thank you, and look forward to working with you.
Thank you. Senator Matthews.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you for being here, Commissioner. Congratulations on your appointment, and I look forward to hopefully speaking with you more. I was informed right before the meeting started about an issue that I actually wanted to address, and that's my local area of Lake Mille Lacs. And I want to urge, with the new administration and the new leadership now, urge the DNR to come up with a solution. And I heard some potential good news may be coming down the pike with that, and I sincerely and urgently hope that good talk translates into good action. I just want to encourage you, as you made comment about needing to emphasize communication and working together with multiple groups and not wanting us versus them mentality. That is sometimes how my local areas felt under the old administration. I hope that we can work to change that, and be open for out-of-the-box ideas. I had a conversation last year when we had the third year of the lake shutdown that I worked with some of your staff on going, can we come up with just about anything whatever out-of-the-box idea we can come up with to bring solutions to the business owners and the users of the lake up there. And there were ideas that I conceptualized and even ideas that your staff conceptualized that we put into bill form, but then when that got up the chain to leadership, that got squashed. And that was really discouraging to my district when I had to relay that message back to them afterwards. So I want to urge you with that. I want to stand by and offer my assistance if there's anything we can do to help. And that's the significant local issue from my district that I hope the new administration can work some solutions with.
Thank you, Senator. And Commissioner, I'm so glad that you got the silver bullet that's going to answer that one. But
Mr. Chair, no, I appreciate the opportunity to address that question. And Senator Matthews, thank you for that. Obviously, working with the Division of Fish and Wildlife the last 4 years in my assistant commissioner role, I got the opportunity, the pleasure, or the challenge of working on that issue. And I appreciate your frustration. It certainly is a frustrating situation. I am happy to say that we are in a much better position this year, and we are going to have some good news to deliver on Mille Lacs. What exactly that is, I can't share with you because we're still in the process of developing that. But given where we are this year, we are coming into a season with no overage to pay back, no harvest overage. We are coming into a season, we actually came in under our allocation last year. The population is in a better place than it has been the last few years. And so we are going to have some more opportunity and flexibility with our regulations this year. And I think part of what that will do, to your point, Senator Matthews, is allow us to engage more collaboratively in how we want to use that opportunity that's in front of us. And I appreciated your out-of-the-box thinking, and I think those ideas will be able to, bear some fruit perhaps this year, given that opportunity. And so we are going to be engaging in conversations with the Mille Lacs Fisheries Advisory Committee and of course others who want to weigh in on this, how we best use that opportunity. I understand that part of the frustration in prior years is we asked people for input. There really are, we were between such a rock and a hard place, there was no room to maneuver. And it's very frustrating to ask people for input when you don't have any room to use that input. And so I appreciated the difficulty of that position of what we asked of people. And I think this year we're in a different situation, and there really is an opportunity for them to help collaborate on how we want to use this better place that we're in. So thank you for your participation in that conversation as well.
Senator Root, to that point.
Mr. Chair, to that point, and welcome and thank you. I'm really excited with the governor's appointment and the team that you've put together. So thank you for that. I just wanted to make a comment because my district, of course, has the top half of Mille Lacs Lake and how challenging that fishery has been. But I also want to comment about, I think Commissioner Landwehr really tried to do a very good job of being inclusive. And in the last year, I was included in the tech panels. I was able to observe those. I was welcomed in. And I thought that was extremely helpful to know that all the scientific data that we're collecting, when really goes into making those very difficult decisions, they're emotional decisions. Minnesota loved their walleye. And so trying to understand all the scientific basis to the decisions that were made was very hard. And so being invited in to observe those and to really see the teams and the people that were really working on that. And we did see last fall at the tech meeting that we may have some good, some good news this spring. We're hoping for that. But, nature plays a big part in what happens with that big body of natural resources. So I look forward to going forward with the challenges on Mille Lacs, and I think we're all up to the challenge. I know Senator Matthews is working very hard on it, and so we look forward to really having a good partnership on that lake and doing some really good fishing this summer. Thank you.
Okay. Senator Abler.
Well, thank you, and everybody's welcomed you, but I'll welcome you too. I had the privilege to have you be one of my mayors. And you thought it was hard to make 18,000 people happy. Welcome to 5.4 million people who have an opinion. And how hard could that be? But I'm excited that you're there. I think you're actually well-equipped, and you've come from a good place with your various backgrounds and all the things that you believe, and how we can implement that and put that in a thoughtful way. And so I'm truly eager, and I'm happy to be on the committee. It's something new to focus on after these years. But there are two topics I just wanted to broach to you, and you don't have to really reply much except just to know that these are, again, nothing is new. All the concerns are not new, but coming from where we live, where our farms have turned into, they grow lots more than producing a crop, and the interests that people have about watersheds and clean water and all that, and learning in my time about the concerns of farmers to merely stay open, I hope that your expertise and mine and the rest of the committees can find ways to bridge that divide. I think that some of the discussions that were well-intended could have gone better, and I really think you're a good person to help mediate some of those dialogues. And because I do know every farmer I've met really is interested in the water staying clean for their family as well, and sometimes they get construed the other way. And the people that are worried about clean water sometimes are construed about not caring that we eat. And so I really look forward to that dialogue, and I think that that'll be interesting. And lake associations were mentioned as well. And I've actually been involved with more of those than I would have thought in my time. But I think you can lead in this way as well. I think sometimes the members of the association have grown up on their particular lake. They know all about it, but sadly they're not biologists or scientists, and so a lot of times their opinion seems to be thought of as being as nothing. And so when the real scientists, the real biologists sit down, if they only knew what we know about science, and I hope that there's a way that body of true knowledge can be woven into the legitimate expertise of the people that have been trained and learned in those topics. And I'm happy to be bridging that with you. And you can reply or just nod your head. But anyway, I'm really glad you're here, and I look forward to working with you.
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Senator Abler, I appreciate that. And all those years you were my senator, and I'm not sure we had an issue to work on together, and now you're on the committee and I'm here, so I look forward to working with you. I think, I do just want to say that, I think you're right that those are divides that we can bridge. And my perspective on particularly the last issue that you raised is, science is very important. Science and data need to guide our work, and that's certainly my academic background. But we are a public agency, right? And people matter too. And so taking that science basis along with people's experiences is exactly, what I think our charge is to meld. So thank you for that comment.
Thank you, Commissioner. Senator Weber.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for being here, Commissioner. Thank you for the visit to my office last week. I appreciate having an opportunity to talk about a number of issues. I think one of the things that I wanted to highlight today or visit with you about today deals with a conversation that I had actually just yesterday with one of the environmental officers in my district. And this is pertaining to a lake. Actually, it's not the lake we talked about last week, but a different lake in the same county whereby, and of course, for the committee members, most of my lakes vary considerably from the lakes you have, with them being shallow prairie lakes, and with a lot of lakes that don't have depths of more than 8 to 12 feet. And so, but this particular lake had they worked hard to clean it up, and actually got to a point where it was a perfectly clear lake for a year there. And then, of course, what happened was, due to its depth and the amount of sunlight that could hit the bottom, we now had a perfectly clear lake turn into not a lake with a weed patch, but a lake full of weeds. And I think they have experienced great frustration as the people that they've been trying to work with in your department to bring this lake back to a usable point, quite frankly, the rules actually deal with all lakes in general. And I don't think we have perhaps distinguished rules to reflect the issues that are concerning lakes up in Senator Bach's district or the different lakes that are in my district. And I just want your general opinion. Obviously, not asking you for a solution today, but do you think there's room in the process for a variation of rules depending upon the lake rather than this sort of one-size-fits-all, which, quite frankly, government is all too common to implement?
Commissioner, and then we're going to finish up with Senator Tomassoni question.
Okay, Mr. Chair and Senator Weber. I don't want to go too far down the road not understanding the specifics of this particular case, but I think certainly, if we find a mismatch in what the intent of the rule is and the way that it causes us to be applied in a circumstance, that's something that we should take a look at. So I know you have given me 2 examples now from your district, so perhaps, I can take those and work with my team to understand a little bit better. Is that the kind of situation we have here where there's perhaps a mismatch, or is it something else? And I think, as I've shared with you, even if we can't get to a point we may not agree at the end of the day, we need to at least have a same understanding of what the issue is and why that's the issue. So I'm very committed to doing that, and we'll take that back and see if there's a path.
Thank you.
Okay, Senator Tomassoni.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Congratulations, Commissioner. Welcome aboard. I know you're not new to this, so the issue of permitting is one of the things that I've been to way too many public meetings over the last 14 years, and I think the DNR did a very, very comprehensive job of dotting all the I's and crossing all the T's when it came to polymet, and went to the nth degree. And I realized that permitting process was more complicated than most, because there was not just the DNR, just the PCA doing it. There were 7 different agencies that were involved in it. But any way you look at it, 14 years and $350 million is a little bit extravagant. And somewhere along the way, and I'm hoping the agency is looking at a way to do this, that for future projects that might be either mining or logging or just a new business in the area, of figuring out a way to do the process without taking so much time and costing so much money, and making prospective businesses that might come to the area say, this is too onerous, I'm not going to locate here. And a lot of it has to do with our future, and a lot of it has to do with our current jobs. And I think maybe as a legislature and as an administration, that we need to figure out a way to streamline the process. And I realize that there's some attempt to do that. However, in the bigger picture, I believe that there needs to be something concrete put down so that we can say, look at what is it that we don't know about mining that we have to study a new mine for 14 years. And we've been doing it for 135 years, and I realize it's a little bit different mineral, but it's still mining, and the byproduct is pretty much the same. So I don't know if you've had that discussion yet, but I'd love to hear your comments on it.
Commissioner.
Mr. Chair and Senator Tomassoni, thank you for the question. I have not yet had an opportunity to dive in deeply to the permitting process, but what I can say, and you acknowledge some work and improvements towards efficiency, and that was something that the past administration worked toward. Clearly, it is nobody's goal, or I will say it is, not our goal at the DNR to make the process longer than it needs to be, or have more components than it needs to be. I don't know what the right time frame was for that project, but what I will say is, there is a balance between making the project or making that process too onerous and too long, and making it too short that you ultimately jeopardize, the outcome of the decision. And so I think it's finding that right balance. And as you said, the I's were dotted and the T's were crossed in this particular one. And that's the position that, coming into this role, I want to know we're in, given, some of the challenges that are in front of us. So absolutely, we need to work to find that right balance.
Commissioner, I think we're going to end it there. Thank you so much for the wonderful dialogue. I look forward to working with you, and members here certainly have their doors open, I know, for any legislation or any ideas, and we'll look forward to the governor's budget coming around the corner within the next week or so, and moving forward. So thank you very much for the great dialogue, and
Great.
any other comments?
Mr. Chairman, no, just thank you, and thanks to the committee members for the great questions and dialogue. I really do appreciate it. I've had the opportunity to visit with some of you individually and look forward to visiting with the rest of you individually. And my door also is open, and I think all of you know how to find me through Mr. Meyer, so I will be happy to be available as you wish.
Thank you.
Thank you.
He is kind of a moving target. There's no question about that. Mr. Meyer. All right. Let's move on to the second number on the agenda. We'll the introduction of the PCA Commissioner, new Commissioner.
Thank you.
Laura Bishop, welcome to the committee. Congratulations.
Great.
And you were here for the first commissioner's introduction. Maybe you can do something similar to that. Give us a little bit about background of yourself,
sure.
And we'll open it up for some questions.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Members of the committee, hello. So I'm Laura Bishop, and I am very honored to take on the role as the PCA Commissioner. This was something that I spoke to the governor-elect about at the time, and it was something that I really was interested in, and I can tell you a little bit about why that interest is here. Certainly, I've met with all of you in your offices, so you know a little bit about me, but for the record, and I'll talk a little bit about my background. So I grew up in the Twin Cities. I live in Eden Prairie now with my husband and our 2 teenage daughters. And with me, I also have a background in where I've studied at the University of Wisconsin. Forgive me for that. But I studied international relations and Scandinavian studies. So I do speak some Swedish. So for all of you of Swedish descent, we can use our little Swedish conversations. But if you're of Norwegian descent, sorry, that's just not going to fly for me. I
actually found a place to get rid of my portrait for Lutefisk, my Lutefisk portrait, so now I'll know where to send that.
All right, oh, good. I will say that the first day I walked into the PCA, I met a gentleman in the lobby, and he said, "I saw your Scandinavian studies background, and we're just wondering, do you like herring? Because we have a annual herring fest." And I don't. I'm sorry about that. Walleye, good. I also have a master's in public administration from the University of Michigan. So to say I'm Big Ten conflicted is a reality. So my parents went to University of Minnesota and University of Iowa. So we are all over the board on our cheering for those teams. I'm also identify myself as a parent advocate. I'm on the advisory board of PACER. I have a child with disabilities and have been active in that space, as well as I chair the Humphrey Schools Advisory Board at the University of Minnesota. So what interests me in the environment? So with most of you, I've told you about that I grew up spending summers and a lot of winters at a cabin in Aiken, Minnesota and greater Minnesota. My father and uncle were school teachers, so they brought us kids up north for most of the summers, and we spent a lot of time climbing the trees in the backyard and playing in that lake and fishing, and also visiting the farm and hanging with the farm kids up the street. And for that, it shaped me. It shaped my appreciation for the outdoors. It also, I've seen the changes to that community. That farm is no longer in operation. Aiken is a changing community as well as the areas right around there, Palisade and others. We've seen a lot of the businesses and other things leave those towns. That's a concern for me. That has been a big part of my livelihood. I hope to spend a lot of time up there this summer and also be up north, and then I will also be doing a lot of rounds in the state, but it's shaped me, to say the least. So for Mpca, for me, two different policy areas have really guided me in my kind of business and background as well. But the environmental piece has been a large part of it, and the other piece has been looking at just regulatory systems and complexity in regulatory systems. That's what drew me to PCA. So before working at Best Buy, which I'll talk about last, I worked for the U.S. Senate. I worked in the White House. I also was at the U.S. Embassy in Switzerland. And like every good Minnesotan, we moved back home. So I came home in 1999, moved home, and was able to look for a job here in the Twin Cities. I got a job with Honeywell, so I really was intending to take my public sector work back to the private sector. And from my hire date to my start date, the job with Honeywell fell through. So what did I do? I went back to the person and said, what does this mean for me? Because Honeywell was moving to New Jersey. They said you could go to New Jersey. I decided, no, I wanted to come back to Minnesota, and this is where I've landed and been ever since. The thing that was interesting about the Honeywell job, when that fell through, I had like 5 contacts in the Twin Cities, and that really were introducing me to the private sector, and they all said, and this was great contacts, it was Dwayne Benson, it was Pam Wheelock, Nate Garvis, just different people that were involved in different realms of business and public policy, and they all steered me to the Ventura administration. So for some of you, I overlapped with you during the Ventura administration. They said, if you want to go into and really learn about Minnesota politics, it's the best time. We have Democrats, Republicans, and this independent governor trying to get things done. So I really learned about interacting with the Minnesota legislature at that time when I was assistant commissioner at the Department of Administration. From there, I went to Best Buy. So at the end of that administration, I was 8 months pregnant with my first child, and Best Buy hired me to start up a number of different divisions at Best Buy, which was government affairs, environmental compliance, and environmental sustainability. I also worked on our community giving and our supply chain sustainability. It was in those roles that I really saw how business sector and the environment can coexist and do. And I also saw the regulatory hurdles that businesses must go through to work both in the state and multiple states. And that gave me some perspective. So I worked with some of you in that capacity when I was at Best Buy as well. I also worked on legislation on electronics recycling and was up here quite a bit on that to help pass the first electronics recycling. That's not perfect, but it is doing something that I think was something that was needed. But it was also my first exposure to Mpca in depth and meeting some of the people and understanding some of the hard work that all those, the employees there do. So what have I been doing in this meantime of that I've started in these 4 weeks? I guess it's 3.5 weeks. I've been listening. I've been meeting with all of you and trying to understand your concerns. I've been taking a lot of notes, and I hope that you'll see that. And I'll answer as many questions today as I can, but I might not be able to answer them all. And just know that I am committed to getting back to you with answers and being as thorough as possible. I'm meeting with a lot of stakeholders, and some of them are here. In the business industry, in the ag community, environmentalists, mayors, city managers, youth, and other interested citizens. I'm learning a lot about the agency. I'm filling roles in the commissioner's office. I have filled most of my leadership team. I have one assistant commissioner position that will be open that was announced yesterday that there would be some changes, but I have a deputy commissioner who is coming in right February 19th. He starts. His name's Peter Tester, and he has been with Ecolab for the past 12 years in their legal department and has background in environmental law, but he'll be starting on the 19th. Before that, he worked in the Attorney General's office and has good background and good knowledge of PCA. I've been working to produce a budget to the governor, so within 3 days of starting, I had to meet with MMB and turn over a budget. That's not easy when you're coming fresh into roles like this. And I've been dealing with some pretty big issues, and a lot of those that I've talked to you about. Regulatory issues. Are they too strict? Are they too lenient? Those are things that we've had discussions about on both sides and with everyone here. Public health, clean water, clean air, wild rice, landfills. They go on. They are not issues that are easy solves. Otherwise, we would have been able to do it by now and do it together. They are issues that I want to work on and continuously work on with all of you. And I understood that this job would come with great responsibility and challenges, and I'm committed to doing the best job that I can. And protecting and enhancing the environment and public health, the mission of Mpca, is not one person's job. It's all of ours. And we all play a role, as do the public servants at Mpca, which are a very committed group of people. And I'm bringing a new perspective, and I hope that with this, you'll give me a fresh start. So if there were issues that you've had with the Mpca, I would like to work with you to address those. If there are issues that were positive in nature, I'd love to hear those too. I'm hearing a lot of things on both sides, and I appreciate that. I'd love to highlight successes. I'd like to highlight successes in your districts. I'd like to know the challenges as well. So what's on our radar? Minnesota's complex environmental issues, the rules, the regulations, and the many partners involved can sometimes seem a bit overwhelming, and there's endless work to be done. I'm really looking at the PCA in 3 different areas: efficiency and due diligence. This is something I've talked to most of you about, that yes, we want to see how quickly and using the proper, following the laws and following the rulemaking procedure, but things do take a long time. I see that. Those are challenges. And sometimes it is for the purpose of getting a lot more public input into the process, which can be a good thing. But if they're going to take too long and we're going to lose businesses perhaps because of the length of time, we need to find everybody on the same timeline. I have said this, and with Senator Weber, that in the, for example, on true shrimp, they had a timeline, the city had a timeline, and the PCA had a timeline. At some point, they did line up, but the discussions that were happening between those 3 entities did not line up. We need to find that ground where they line up and aim for those, aim for that spot. I've also heard that when there's an enforcement at PCA, that you get a caseworker that walks you through that enforcement from a business perspective. At the same time that we're doing a permit or having other discussions with business, there isn't that same caseworker along the way. Certainly resources can be a challenge for the PCA, but it is something that I think is really important, is that we give the same attention to an industry member during the process of the enforcement that we would give during the process of wanting to engage and start a business or do business with the PCA. Stakeholder engagement and communication is another one. So I want to be more transparent. I want to have dialogues with stakeholders. It's something that I did regularly while I was at Best Buy. Some of the noisiest members that were critical of some of Best Buy's efforts around the environment or in the consumer area, we brought them in. I had a stakeholder board that I set up while I was there as Chief Sustainability Officer at Best Buy, and I intend to take feedback and do the same thing. But I don't expect people to come to me. I need to go to them. And so you will see a lot more, I hope, on my part of getting out into greater Minnesota and really understanding those needs and hearing from people. The other piece with stakeholders is we have a lot of different boards, so I'm really looking at what those boards are within Mpca to understand how stakeholder communication comes in and how those are being addressed. And then I think lastly, something that all of us care about too, is the intricacies when it comes to talking about kind of our changing climate. This is something that we will be looking at largely in Mpca, but also has been a priority of Governor Walz in talking about. And with every flood, every wildfire, our safety is at risk. Extreme weather, we have seen it. We saw it when I was at Best Buy as well. It disrupts industry. It disrupts business. You need predictability, and so we need to be looking at this from both the environmental perspective as well as industry perspective, because we need that predictability. So we'll be looking at building an approach. The work's already underway. A lot of you have addressed issues related to our changing climate, and we're seeing it in the other agencies as well. This isn't something that just Mpca will be doing. We see it in the energy sector, which has been very successful here in Minnesota. So we'll be working very closely with commerce. We'll be working in transportation as well as health and across different agencies. So I know from my experience that industry and environment can peacefully coexist, and they do. And to say it's it's one or the other is a false choice. And that's what I come at this. Minnesotans are innovative, and they produce the things that we need while also respecting our most treasured resources. We all live in these areas where the lakes are thriving, where our children drink the water and breathe the air. We all want the same thing. So I'll end this by saying that I want to hear from you. I want to learn from you, and I want to work with you, because I know that at the end of the day, our mission is the same: to leave our air, land, and water better off for the next generation. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much for that very nice introduction. And I'm glad to hear that you're going to be tackling issues out in front, and it's so much easier to deal with them. You know, we all sometimes come down here and we get caught up in our inner circle, and we forget about who we actually work for, and it's real easy to do that. And as you know, if you've been in the public sector at all, you know that really an issue isn't an issue for anybody unless it drops right on their foot,
Yeah.
you know, right in their own lap. And until that happens, and then of course, all you know what breaks loose, and so you get bombarded with an awful lot of stuff. So I'm glad to hear the concerns that you have about the being business friendly. You know, you hear about the very cumbersome regulations Minnesota has, and you know, you have to look through that. I mean, you have to just not take that as a comment, because we do have such a jewel here in Minnesota to protect.
Yes.
But at the same time, we have to do it within reason, and I think that's all we expect when we start talking about legislation and business. So. Thank you. I'll start out with Senator Matthews.
Great.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Commissioner, for being here today. And I publicly want to congratulate you on your appointment. And we spoke in my office before, and I had a very positive discussion with you. And I relayed a message to one of my local cities. I'd indicated how small towns are impacted and some of the concerns that they've had, and that was validated again in my conversation with one of my towns. And when I shared who the new commissioner was and your background and what I had learned from our meeting, that was received very positively. They're very encouraged and hope that there's a difference there. And I just had a thought as you were mentioning your new staff and the people you're putting together, and seemingly with good intent on making sure you strengthen all areas in your department. Maybe you should consider whether you need someone from small town city government experience on your staff, since that's another large part. But beyond that, I wanted to ask you a question about something that came to my attention since we had a meeting in our office from a statement made in a House committee. And it's with regard to the closed landfill investment fund, where a statute tells us that that fund may be spent by the commissioner of the Pollution Control Agency after fiscal year 2020. And a comment was made saying that the text of that by itself is the full authority needed to make all appropriation decisions from that point on. And there was some consultation with some members on this committee and with council that under the Minnesota Constitution, every appropriation we have needs to clearly state this is appropriated for a certain cause or specific project or something along that line. So I understand that the comment made in the other committee was not made by you, but I wanted to ask you to comment on that, what your view is with the appropriation, and if you would share that same constitutional concern about that statement that I would have.
Commissioner.
Sure. Mr. Chair, Senator. So I'm not familiar with that comment, but certainly I understand that you heard from PCA and heard that comment made. I am looking at this whole issue of landfills and how to do this. This isn't, because we're hearing a lot about one-offs on different landfills. It's a problem. We know this. And the governor has also looked at this and indicated to me that this is a concern. So we need to look at this longer term and beyond 2020. You all have oversight over our agency. You need to be decision makers in our funding as well. So I don't look at this, and I don't have a viewpoint until I talk to everybody, but I don't see the agency making those type of appropriations and spending decisions in a vacuum as necessarily beneficial to our ongoing relationship and the long-term what we need in cooperation with the Senate and legislature. So for me, I think it needs to be a consultative process, and I don't know the specifics about what authority it gives us after 2020. It's something that I'd have to look at and would like to come back to you and consult with you on it.
Commissioner, to that point, if I might ask you your feelings on the most recent landfill that has been getting all the attention.
Yeah.
Well, actually, the most recent attention in the legislature, the freeway landfill certainly was one that took a lot of attention a couple of years ago in the Anoka, in the county of Anoka, and I'm wondering how you feel or how the agency feels as far as it being an immediate concern. I don't know if danger is the right thing. I think I've been kind of assured that our drinking water is still okay in that area. Yeah. But how quickly would you like to see that handled, and is it something that should be handled immediately in your views?
Mr. Chair, is this in reference to the WDE landfill?
Yes, that's correct.
So this has been, what I understand is this has been debated now for the past 3 sessions. So it's been identified as a problem that we have brought to you and that you have brought to us. So addressing that has been a priority then there's a discussion about funding, and the funding does keep going up the longer we wait. So as far as the balancing the need and the funding, I think that's for you all to look at. But we have seen the need. What's been brought to my attention is this, not the absolute that the drinking water is impacted right now, but the future, and the longer this goes on and the longer that we wait, the more imminent it becomes and the more pressing it becomes. So I do appreciate that you've been really looking at this and looking at the funding for this. And there's also a discussion, I understand, about where the funding comes from. And so I would say the administration doesn't have a firm position yet until after the budget comes out on, when it needs to be funded. But it is something that we have said that is identified as a need. And certainly the sooner we can do it, I think the better.
Okay, so as you know, that I have a bill that addresses this immediately, and actually that bill is being heard tomorrow, and I guess I want it clear in my mind how immediate this is. As you know, the legislature can get into a lot of grappling over this and over that, and at the end of the day, this is part of the deal and that part of the deal. And, frankly, I don't want anything to do with that. I think if it's being brought to my attention and to Senator Rude's attention and the House as well, I think if it has to be done right away, then we need to know that.
Okay.
And I say that because there are funding mechanisms that can be done. And we can actually show Minnesotans that we can get together and get things done in a timely fashion. And that's not my goal here. My goal is this really needs to be done. Let's do it. And I'm talking about before the end of session. Okay. So do you consider it an immediate enough that it is to be handled, yesterday?
Yeah.
I can't nail down a day, but you know how fast we move around here. But I think we can actually move quick on this if we get the administration to say that it needs to be done.
Sure. So, Mr. Chair, I think what drives these decisions is, public health first, and that's something we need to get back to you right away to understand that the risk to the groundwater and other pieces, as well as, the environmental piece. So let me get a direct answer to you from my team before your hearing tomorrow.
Thank you, and I'll follow that up with a letter
Please.
to you and the administration, because I'm very serious about this and want this addressed if it needs to be done. If it does not, then we need to know that as well. So thank you very much, Weber. Senator Weber.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Welcome, Commissioner. Thank you for being here. Thank you for visiting me a couple of weeks ago, and appreciate that visit and the conversation that we had, and I do look forward to working with you to solve what I believe are some of the problems that exist out there. Mm-hmm. Just a couple of points that I would like to make. I think one, in light of the fact that we've had 2.5 weeks pass since our visit, I expressed to you, as I had expressed to your staff the day before at our hearing, my concerns about studies that are done and 8 years have elapsed, and recommendations that are made there are not necessarily don't necessarily seem to be of any great priority to the agency. And I felt that if they had been taken care of, quite frankly, the topic of the true shrimp would not have necessarily been an issue that day. Mm-hmm. Have you had any opportunity to think about that in the time that has elapsed?
Yeah.
Commissioner.
Mr. Chair, Senator Weber. Yes, I've had a lot of time to think about that, and I've also been exploring that. This is not something that I welcomed when I started the first day that it fell on my lap, and you and I had that discussion about true shrimp in particular. What I can tell you is, as you know, This issue on the specific conductants is something that we're talking with. I met with the Coalition of Greater Minnesota Cities. I've talked with True Shrimp. We've met with the city, and I've exchanged lots of voicemails with Pat, the mayor of Laverne, as well, to better understand this. Unfortunately, Pat and I somehow can't seem to connect at the same time. But it's my intention to do that. There was a rulemaking that was open and we did get comments on it, and there is discussion about moving another rulemaking forward. But that also takes time, and so we understand that. We understand that with True Shrimp as well as other businesses coming into the city. So we want to make certain that, and to the region, that we are looking at this carefully, yet also encouraging the economic development in that region and the things that the city needs to be looking at as well to protect the water. I can say on this that there is looking at rewriting and doing the new rules possibly next month, and we would like to talk to you about how that works and go forward. So before the proposed rulemaking, or even later this month, before the proposed rulemaking would be there. We're also talking, like we said, with Greater Minnesota Cities about their approach and what they're looking at for that area. So I want your feedback on it. But this has not been something that I've been sitting on. This has been something we've been actively considering, and welcome more of your feedback too.
Follow up?
Thank you. Yes, follow up. And I would say, Commissioner, that, I recognize that there has been some rulemaking before and there has been a comment period. It just, here again, now if we go back, well, now we need another comment period. It's sort of the age-old problem that, quite frankly, we experience with the agency. We have a comment period, we do nothing, then we need another comment period, and we do nothing more again. And I think that builds to a real frustration on the part of our communities, or part of our businesses, and quite frankly, on the part of our legislators. And I just want you to be aware of that. And I think also, as we look at the Class 3 and 4 waters, it isn't just an issue for our communities, but it's an issue for all of our industries. We've had great discussions, substantial discussions over the past couple of years regarding sulfides and sulfates and all those things up in the northern districts, and yet, here we are. Decisions aren't made. And I think to follow up on that, I look at some of our more standard processing plants. I hear of proposed things going on in the state of Minnesota, and yet they're being told by Mpca, well, the air quality permit will take 18 months. And yet these are plants that we already have plants like that in the state. And so exactly why? When we don't really have anything new in terms of processes and that, are we taking 18 months? That leads to the departure of these proposed plants across state lines, where they get done in a third of the time or less. And I think those are some of the things that, we wish to really have some meaningful change being made. As I mentioned, this isn't just a specific for True Shrimp or the city of Laverne or mining itself. This is a change in the culture of your agency that we believe actually needs some major overhaul.
Mr. Chair, Senator Weber.
Go ahead.
Thank you. It is something that I recognize. I've heard you on this. So it is something that I am looking at, and looking at what's statutorily required of us, how the rulemaking process works and the time that's allotted in that, as well as the resources that we have in the department to be able to do these, in the agencies to be able to do these jobs. So it's all something that is under review by me, and it goes into that first bucket that I talked about of efficiency and due diligence. There has to be a balance, but there has to be, if these things are taking too long, I need to understand why, and so do you. and that you have my commitment on that.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you, Commissioner. Senator Simonson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Not a question, but perhaps just a couple of comments, if I will. Welcome, Commissioner.
Thank you.
And congratulations. I look forward to working with you as we go forward. Over the course of the last number of months, as you know, I've had the opportunity to have a number of discussions with different communities all across greater Minnesota specifically. And perhaps just to dovetail onto some of the comments that Senator Matthews made, I think it's important that we don't compare the agency going forward with the agencies of the past. This is an opportunity with a new administration, new commissioner, fresh outlook, not necessarily to weaken Minnesota's regulations or rules or standards. I think we all can respect those, but perhaps to take a different approach in how we cooperate with our local units of government, our local and regional wastewater operators, our landfill operators. All of these are looming concerns, challenges for you as you go forward, I know. But I would say that the common denominator, whether you're northwest or southeast Minnesota or anywhere, is collaboration and communication. And I would just offer you this, that solutions to environmental challenges and the challenges that exist between those that regulate and those that are regulated are very rarely found on the fringes. They're often found in the middle, and it requires collaboration. And I look forward to having that relationship with you as we go forward, and wish you the best of luck.
Thank you. Mr. Chair. Senator, thank you. I agree with that, and obviously to my experience in that, and my second priority of stakeholder and communication really does involve that idea of collaboration. So learning and working very closely on that and finding that middle ground is what experience I hope to bring to this role.
Thank you, Commissioner. Senator Matthews.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And one more brief question for you, Commissioner. With your time in the agency thus far, do you think that there's anything you've identified or any potential that could be changed on how stakeholders input into the review permit process, the environmental review? Is there things you've identified that could make that a better process moving forward?
Commissioner.
Yeah, Mr. Chair and Senator Matthews, that is something that I'm looking at. And I think it really, I'm asking the staff that oversees that as one thing. It's one thing on the permit issuance. It's another aspect, and we're dealing with that right now with a permittee that hasn't been on the enforcement side, right? And understanding on the self-reporting and how they're reporting to the agency, and when things go wrong, did the agency act quick enough? Those are all different discussions that we're having right now within the agency. What I will say on this specific question and identifying, I haven't yet, but it is something that I will, and I'm committed to. The piece that I am identifying is that idea of the hand-holding that we do during the enforcement process and the person that's there, as opposed to working, having that key contact with the people that are, and the entity that is coming to us for a permit, and ushering that through the process. And why some permits are issued quicker than others, those are all questions that I'm asking. So that's the one piece right now that I've identified pretty quickly, but there will be others that I'm looking to as well. Welcome your input.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner. Senator Root.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and welcome, Commissioner. You have a lot on your plate and a lot of issues and a lot of important issues. But one of the things we haven't really talked about yet is the jewel of Minnesota, one of our biggest assets, and that's Lake Superior. Yes. And I sit on the Great Lakes Commission, And we have had great leadership from our former commissioner. Commissioner Link Stein is the former director of the Great Lakes Commission. And so we've had, Minnesota has had great leadership on that commission. And so as you get your feet wet and all the issues that you have to address, I would invite you to continue that leadership and to really be a voice for Minnesota on that commission, because it's so important, and that lake is so important to the vitality of Minnesota. And it's a very interesting and wonderful learning experience too. So I would just encourage you to be a part of that Great Lakes Commission.
Great. Thank you. Mr. Chair.
Commissioner.
Senator Root, thank you for that. And I will say that it is something that I would like to do and intend to do. So I appreciate your invitation to engage in that. I will also say that, you know, from day one when I sent out my letter or notice to the agency to say that, you know, I was starting, I heard directly from the Duluth office to say, I hope you're going to continue with the Great Lakes Commission, and the staff that was there was very much encouraging me. So I intend to do that.
Senator Thomasoni.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And Commissioner, thank you for showing up here today and taking our questions, and thank you for meeting with us in our offices and being open to our suggestions. I think you're getting some really good advice here today, and I hope you take it to heart. I want to reinforce what Senator Weber said about what I don't think is necessary to continue to repeat public hearing after public hearing after public hearing, because all the public hearings I've been to, what I noticed was that the same comments get said over and over and over and over again, and they just keep getting repeated. And so I don't think it's necessary to reopen the Class 3 and Class 4 waters rulemaking process. Also, I'm not going to repeat what I said to the Commissioner from DNR, but the same goes for MPCA, that they played a monumental role in getting out these permits, and they are now all out and waiting for one more from the Army Corps. But the one little thing that maybe hasn't been mentioned here, which I consider to be a big thing, is the cost benefit of some of the things that end up happening in rural Minnesota. And we oftentimes are being told that you need to get this much of something out of the water over a year's time, and you need to spend $12.5 million to do it for a little town of 1,000 people. And I can't in my wildest dreams imagine why we make people spend all this money to do some of the things that have to be done, when in effect oftentimes it's not even the small town's the fault. And so I urge you to take a good look at this, because I've been told many, many times, yes, we realize it's really expensive, but. And the really expensive but part is the part that bothers me, because really expensive is a really big key. And then what do we really get out of it? And are we really saving the world by taking this much out of the water? Mm-hmm. And so I'm just encouraging you to make sure that when you do these analyses of these wastewater treatment plants in these small towns in rural Minnesota, that there's actually a benefit, and that the cost benefit is something that we can actually afford, and that it's positive on the environment also.
Commissioner, we're going to take that as a comment, because we have one more senator that has a question, Senator Bingham. Then we're going to have to end the committee meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and Commissioner, welcome. I look forward to working with you, and I appreciate the time and the discussion about the PFC issue that is in my neck of the woods, and the staff and your commitment to working with our local communities. I guess I'm not going to repeat, but I'm going to reinforce, I think, the concern about making sure we're working with our local units of government. And we've had that conversation, but the other thing I want to say, and you know, I was gone for like 10 years, and then I came back, and I think there are a lot of there's an opportunity that you can bring to your department, and that is, I feel like there's a lot of it's all or nothing when it comes to some of the policies that we debate, especially in this committee. And there are groups that I feel it's all or nothing. And I would just hope that you keep an open mind to say, we need progress. Mm-hmm. And sometimes we don't get there with one fair swoop, you know, one legislative session. But there are a lot of issues that you're going to be tackling as whether it's climate change, whether it's water quality, whether it's, trying to reorganize and streamline a process that you're in charge of. But I just hope that people understand that progress may sometimes be slow, but it's progress. And I hope we can kind of have those discussions, and I hope you keep that in mind throughout the next 4 years.
Thank you. Thank you.
Commissioner, thank you very much for the presentation today and your introduction, and these have been some good comments and good questions. I guess the two immediate things that I'd like to have answered are, of course, the immediacy of the Anoka issue, as well as whether you can, the comment that appropriations can be done without the legislature. That needs to be addressed immediately, because it seems to be very clear in legislation that the legislature has the distinct, appropriation authority, and so those two things right away, would appreciate it so much. And
thank you.
With that, I think we're going to have to clear out for the next committee meeting. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Right.
Thank you,
Call
committee
meeting.
members.
Thanks.